So is it 16 years since you've been back? Have you been back in between?
I moved over in 2008, so I retired at the end of 2007 here, and then in 2008 I moved over to Australia, so I've been there 15 years. Got an Aussie wife, citizenship, all that stuff there. So
has it changed much here?
The stadium hasn't. The people, obviously you've got the familiarity with Miko and whatever, and I know Buster and people like that. So, but yeah, the personnel and sort of whatever is a little bit different, but it's still the same old Cougar Park, which is it's quite warming, to be honest.
So how do you assess, sitting here ahead of your first game in full charge, how do you assess the challenge ahead of you?
The assessment is it's a big one. You know, it's a big task. It's a big ask. If you go off what's happened the last couple of weeks, then the challenge is pretty large. But I had an opportunity to get in, hit the ground running on Monday. I've had a chat with most of the boys on the phone and just get to know what makes them tick and how they roll a bit. And that's given me a little bit of confidence that I feel we've got some personnel here that we can work with, and we can work our way out of a situation.
How was that first meeting with the squad?
Yeah, great. I'm not a shy guy. I don't lack any confidence. So it was good to sort of get out in front of the boys early, and we had a little bit of a chat, and I basically opened the floor. I said, "Ask me anything. Ask me anything you want," because I wanted them to sort of lead rather than me tell them what I think they want to know, and I think they took to that pretty well, and from that point we've been sort of building our protocols and things that we do off the field with our coaching staff, and making sure everything's ready to rock and roll come Sunday.
And in terms of what happens on the field, I mean, some coaches, it can take months, maybe even longer, to put any structural changes in place. So in the short term at least, is it about re-enthusing, re-energising this group?
Yeah, I think the psychology of what we do and how we do it is probably the number one priority. How they play and the shapes that they play, I've obviously got ideas of what I see and how I am comfortable. I think the attacking style that was here at the start of the year is probably something that's a little bit close to what I like anyway. So we'll probably be keeping all that, just with a little bit of emphasis here and there on bits of detail that I think are valuable in attack. But most importantly for me, defensively, what our understanding of our roles and responsibilities are, and the value of our effort for our teammates, and what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Yeah, they've shipped far too many points, haven't they? I was going to ask you what your coaching philosophy is broadly. Is it outscore the opposition, or defence wins matches?
Defence is important to me. Defence is very important. If you have a team that defends with effort and energy, and you keep your side, the opposition, down to minimal tries, then you're always going to have the personnel and the quality to be able to sneak over in certain areas of the game. So as long as you're in a game, you can make something count towards the end.
In terms of the personnel that's here at the moment, then will you have, I'm sure you've asked the bosses above, will you have scope to bring anyone in?
There's a little bit of scope there. We've been talking about that this morning. We've been talking about it since I got here, to be honest. There's a little bit of me finding out exactly where I think we need to work, but there's certainly positional areas that we will be looking to bring one or two people in, possibly on loan deals or something like that. But yeah, we're exploring, and that's not a closed door.
So when you were here before, I think you had the 18s. Did you look after the 18s here previously?
Well, while I was playing, I ran the scholarship, which was the 12 to 16-year-old elite performance program. And off the back of that, we went into the under-18s national comp in the amateur setup with the West Hulls and the Lee Miners, because we weren't allowed to go into the academy then, the under-18s academy. So I coached for 2 years. I coached that under-18s to get it rolling in that National Youth League, and we did okay in that too. A heartbreaking moment at West Hull, but apart from that, it was pretty good.
Can you remember anyone that came through from that that's maybe still kicking around these days?
Out of that team, no, I don't think there's anyone that's still kicking around. Around that time I was playing, in the 2006-2007 time, I was playing with Buster, James Feather, He's probably Josh Lynham, actually, who's here now. He was in our scholarship program when I was back then. So they're the two that I guess have got links to those times.
And you came, were you just after the Cougar Mania time? Or did you enjoy a bit of that?
I enjoyed a little bit of that. Turning up in front of 6,000 people was pretty fun to do. Play your rugby league. I signed in June 1995, which was about 2 weeks after they beat Huddersfield in that grand final, and they were in the process of appealing the lack of ability to get promoted, for want of a better phrase, based on the decisions of the RFL. So I came in at that point, and we had a couple of years there where I remember they weren't going to let in promotion, and then they were going to allow one spot, and we just sort of missed that opportunity against Salford that year, and they snuck up. So that's when it started, to 1995, and end of 2017 it finished.
It's quite some time, wasn't it, down here? I think in your 11 seasons here, I think you had something like 9 coaches, did you? Was that? Did that seem strange at the time, or does it only seem strange when you look back?
You know, it's something I've never considered, how many coaches I had here, to be honest. There were a few. I think the principal on that was probably, there was call it destabilised points, I guess, when they went bankrupt in 2002. So prior to that, and in the late 90s, there was a shift in a few coaches. I remember Steve Deakin, Carl Harrison, Phil Larder, Darryl Powell, Frank Punchard, Lee Crooks. So when you think about it like that,
that's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a few. Then when I came back, it was Gary Morby. So yeah, there's a few.
And on the pitch, you got over for a load of tries here. Any particular ones stand out for you?
Anytime you're scoring tries is a beautiful thing. There's one try that's always stuck in my mind, and it was in the 90s. I can't remember exactly which year it was, 97ish. We played Huddersfield Giants in the semi-final to get to the final that year, and it was here at Cougar Park, and the game was pretty tight in the first half, and Chris Robinson just popped a little ball up to me just around our own 40-metre line, just behind the ruck there, and I just saw a gap and pelted through the gap and managed to squeeze through, and then ran around the fullback, who I think was Phil Vivers at the time, and scored under the sticks, and that broke the deadlock, and I think we ended up sort of 8-0 up at half time. Unfortunately, we lost the game 18-8, so it wasn't a fairy tale ending, but just the feel of that try and the excitement and the crowd. It was a big crowd that day. That sticks in my head. Another one was played Widnes, and I managed to Crossfield Bombs was something that I was a little bit known for, and I managed to climb up above Jason Critchley, and who'd actually played for us the year or two before, and that was sweet. Get on very well with Jason Critchley, but it was a nice moment.
Yeah, happy moments. And is one of the aims as well to bring the feel good factor back here to Cougar Park?
I think that's an aim in life, isn't it? I think if you feel good, then you're going to be performing better. But the feel good factor hasn't totally disappeared from here. You talk to people, there's still a lot of hope for what can be done here. So I guess if you measure feel good factor by success outcomes, then I'm not here to fail.
And talking of success, you have had success down under, haven't you, coaching wise? Just give us an idea of what's happened down under.
I spent the last 10 years at Burleigh Bears through different sort of grades there. Obviously, their top team is the Queensland Cup team, and it's a pretty successful organisation over there. One of my main roles, I spent 6 years as head coach of the A grade, which is their reserve grade to the Queensland Cup. In the 6 years, we managed 6 grand finals and 3 premierships, 4 minor premierships, so a little bit of success. And yeah, I've done some assistant coach work with the Queensland Cup. This year, obviously just left from coaching their state league under 21s, and we were sitting joint top of the league at the point I left. So we've enjoyed a bit of success, but Burleigh Bears is a successful club. It's an organisation that's got certain organisations just sort of drip feed that in across the whole sector. So it was a pleasure to coach there, and certainly a bit warmer than here.
You've missed our 3-week heat wave. You've only just missed it. So Sunday, when you're in charge on Sunday, how will it feel for you? Is it something you might take in your stride, or will you feel the significance of it?
Oh, I've had obviously when you make the decision, you know what's coming up, and I've had thoughts about when we first get out on here, and the emotion of that. Certainly will be emotional because this is a club I love, and it was always a dream of mine to coach here when I was coming to the back end of my playing career. So to realise that 15 years later, and probably in a situation where I'm a better coach than I would have been back then, I guess, is something that's going to be emotional. But you don't win games if you don't keep a hold of your emotions. So I'll be keeping that in check, and I'll be making sure that the boys know exactly what we're required to do. And effort-based players is something that I really value.
And just lastly, what sort of coach are you then? If there was a camera on you on Sunday, will you be wriggling around? Do you stay calm? Are you shouting? Or there's a lot of emotions that are on the inside. I try and hold that emotion a little bit. I wouldn't say I'm glass, but there might be an odd outburst of emotion. Depends on what happens with the game, I guess. But I'm certainly not. I'm not scared of showing emotion where I need to, and sometimes that happens. But I'll be doing my best to manage my emotions to fit the occasion.